Welcome back to the Nancy Levin Show. And today I am honored and so excited to have my dear friend Amber Vilhauer with me as a guest. Amber is the CEO and founder of NGNG Enterprises, and NGNG stands for No Guts, No Glory. And NGNG is an Inc. 5,000 top marketing agency in the country. Since 2007, Amber has supported thousands of entrepreneurs on 6 continents, specializing in branding websites that convert, marketing strategy that draws in qualified leads, and overall business growth consulting, including bestseller book launches. And what I'm most excited about today is that we are celebrating the launch and the publication of Amber's very first book, Infinite Impact. And this book is a gold mine. I, for the past year, have been the beneficiary of Amber's books and business brilliance. And today we are going to give you a taste. And if you want all the goodness, you are going to want to order your very own copy of Infinite Impact. So welcome, Amber.
Thank you, Nancy. I feel like everybody strap in because this is going to be a love fest the whole
time. Right?
Because I love this woman and everything that she is doing. So get ready. This is going to be great.
I feel so excited to have this conversation with you because, you know, I'll just say it, no secret. You have been a godsend and an angel in my life. And you came into my life when I really felt disillusioned by anyone who announced themselves as a marketing or business strategist, right? I was like, okay, what bait and switch do you have for me?
But yeah, I write about that in the book because that happened so much starting around like 2016. And then the peak really hit around 2020. And then it just got worse from there. And it's been so painful to watch, but that really is what drives me, Nancy, is trying to show amazing people like you that there's another way. And it's so fulfilling.
Yeah, because, I'm not even joking when I say I have spent hundreds of thousands of dollars with people who said that they could do, they could take me to the moon. And the truth is that it was not until I met you and began working with you that I felt true and honest, not even just hope, but felt myself flying. And for that, I am grateful. So,
we're done.
And we're done. But it's true. Like, and what I do love about working with you is it honestly is a partnership. We are working in tandem. So that is fun. So collaborating with you is super fun.
Agreed.
And I want to hear, and I want all the listeners to hear, because I feel like you've got a really interesting way that you came into this being your work in the world. And so I'd love for you to share. Yeah, you do. I'd love to hear, how you see the dots connecting, or how you see the stepping stones connecting that got you here.
Thank you. I've actually been putting a tremendous amount of thought into this for the past 3.5 years, because it was July of 2020 when, my business, Nancy, was soaring like crazy. We'd grown by 80% in 2020, 80% the next year. And I was like right there at the beginning of that first part of the upswing. And a prospect came to me and said, hey, I hear great things about your book launch services. I need branding and a website and a marketing. And I'm like, great, that's what I do. And he said, but I really need you to experience my work before I hire you, because I want to make sure that you're good with it. And he said, have you heard of shadow play before? And I said, no, but sign me up. Like I'll try anything. So we did the shadow play session later that week. And I dropped into this moment in my childhood, and it was a dark hallway. And on one side of the hallway was my older sister's room. And as soon as I dropped in as this little 6-year-old, 7-year-old girl wearing a little dress, the door slammed shut so loud that it terrified me in this scene. And then on the other side of the hallway, there was a little crack open in my mom's doorway. And there was just a soft light illuminating behind the door. And I could hear her blow drying her hair, which was very significant for me because growing up, single mom, she was gone all the time. She was working, she was traveling, she was helping people. She was my hero. But the time that I really got to be with my mom was when she was straightening her hair. And I could sit there for 30 minutes getting her attention. So when I dropped into this scene in my first shadow play experience, it was like so eye-opening, Nancy. And the funny thing about this is when I was 16 years old, I thought that's when I had my rock bottom moment. I was hanging out with friends that I thought were good enough for me. The challenge is that I didn't have much worthiness. And so I really hung out with people that were not kind, not doing good things in the world. I'll just end there because it's a long, juicy story. It's fully written in the book. You got to get
the book.
But there was this moment when I was 16 where I found myself at a party that I didn't realize was set up for me. And I got jumped by 5 girls that night. And I was badly beaten. And it was this big wake up call of, wow, like, is this my life? Is this what it's going to be like? Like, is this who I am? And there was this calling inside of like, that's not who you are. But I was alone a lot growing up and I didn't know my place in the world. I didn't feel valuable. I felt really lonely and kind of scared in the world, to be honest. And I was deeply insecure. I didn't have friends growing up because nobody taught me how to make friends. So I just didn't have any. And I find myself getting jumped, questioning everything. So it really wasn't until when I was 18 years old. And I got a job selling Cutco cutlery, high-end kitchen knives, Nancy. And so random for so many reasons. I call it divine intervention. We'll stop there. But I walked into training and my trainer said, there are 3 types of people in the world. There's the type of person who's going to sit on the fence and watch what everybody else is doing. There's the person that will dip their pinky toe into the pool and see how it is and see if they're comfortable, if it's safe. And then the third type of person is the one that jumps in with both feet. And I thought, I don't know how to do that, but I want to be that person. And so I did what they told me to do. This shy, insecure person that thought she had a rock bottom moment, right? But still didn't know her way in the world, 18. And that weekend I launched, I sold knives, walked in the office Monday morning, surrounded by applause, which I didn't understand. But apparently I was the top sales rep out of my 100-person training class. And in that moment, Nancy, it was the first time in my life that I felt like I belonged somewhere. That was the first time that I felt like I belonged. And from that moment on, my legacy was clear that what I wanted to do was dedicate my life to helping individuals in front of me feel heard, seen, and valued, because it was such a good feeling to feel seen like that finally, after all of those years and all of the bullying and all of the narcissism and all of the gaslighting and all of the terrible experiences, to finally be seen and appreciated. Are you kidding me? So when I look ahead at the next 20 years, Nancy, it has all been in service to that. My branding, my website, my marketing, book launches, everything, all of my strategy, my offerings to the world, this book, even the private moments that nobody sees, it's all in service to that very vision. That's it. That's Amber.
Thank you for sharing all that. so in you were saying like 20, 20, 21, 22, even when you when your business was exploding and you had
Yeah.
thousands of clients, 37
Thousands of
employees,
clients.
and you
Yeah.
decided to do what?
Yeah. So the shadow play experience happened, and I was like, whoa, I thought I had overcome, especially like I had the rock bottom moment. Then I got the Cutco job. I felt seen. And the next 20 years, I thought like, gosh, good thing I got all the hard stuff out of the way early on. Like I've made it, baby.
Mm-hmm.
And so my business is growing. I'm getting married. I have the world's perfect kid in my eyes. Like life is good until the shadow play session when I realized like, whoa, there was a lot in here that I had avoided and suppressed and not
Mm-hmm.
addressed. And there was a lot of me that I did not love or appreciate or trust. And it was in that moment that I thought, you know what? I don't want to live like that because it is
Mm-hmm.
exhausting carrying this armor. It's
Mm-hmm.
exhausting holding up a front. I want to be free. I want to know the real me. And so I went on the journey of healing, atoning past memories, understanding them, seeing them through adult eyes, not child eyes. And
Mm-hmm.
that changed everything for me. And I got to this moment in 2022 where I had the 37 employees and about 175 active clients at that time, and many behind me, right? Um, and I was in the middle of all of it. And I was exhausted, Nancy. It was just like
Mm-hmm. Of course you were.
I was getting away from my love, which is sitting down one on one with a client and rocking their freaking world. And all of a sudden, I am a CEO dealing with complaints of employees all day. Well, she said this. No, she said that. And I'm like, ugh, this is not my life's work. And so what I did is I very consciously scaled down over the next like year and a half. So now what my business looks like is I have 6 full-time employees that are
Mm-hmm.
amazing superstars. Like I'm lucky every day that I get to work with this team of amazing women.
They are
I
indeed.
I have 5 all-in clients where I'm like in their business growing their brand, and that is so fulfilling to me. I'm very particular about the type of client I take on. And I have this whole other brand called Books and Business where I can work with everybody else.
Yes.
Uh, and so there's a membership where I do open group coaching twice a month. So you can come into my Zoom room and anything you need from hiring to scaling to retention to anything in between, I can give you laser coaching and give you strategy at a really, really, really small rate per month. There's the book. And we also do events twice a year in
Mm-hmm.
person that are off the charts magical. So this is my way of honoring my needs and
Yep.
making sure that I am physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually my best for everybody else. And that I'm just not like self-sacrificing people pleaser the way that I used
Yeah.
to be for so long. And my impact is better than before. My revenue is high. So I guess I'm proof that you can kind of have, be, and do it all. Not to say I'm not human. Okay. I have bad days and days constantly too, but doing the work, Nancy, that you are offering to people, doing that work has given me this sense of understanding of why I'm reacting a certain way and this awareness that I can make a different choice and I can integrate my whole self,
Yes.
into what I'm doing and not just shame myself for having these other sides. So that's why I warned everybody about a love fest because I'm such a deep, deep believer in Nancy's work. I wish it were required for everybody. And
Mm.
frankly, Nancy, I wish that my work were required for everybody too. And that's why, spoiler alert, I'm doing everything I can to do more and more with Nancy because I feel like her work and mine coming together is such a powerful offering to the world. And so, yeah, I'm happy for the listeners to get to experience this.
Me too. Me too. Me too. One of the things when you share this that I really appreciate is everyone's everyone's so focused on how do I scale? How do I scale? And you were bold enough and brave enough to really hone in on, what do I really want to spend my time doing? How do I really want to apply my work to the world? How can I have the infinite impact that I know I can by serving, like you said, 5 clients one-on-one, serving a group of clients in a membership, holding these live events, these different ways, and realizing that more isn't always more, because you're experiencing that less is more now,
Sure.
for sure.
I think the question is, what do I want to scale?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Right? Because everybody's talking about scaling. It's the buzzword, right? And you feel like you should scale. Like, isn't that why people are in business, or
Right.
why you want to create a book, right? But I really looked at, what are the options of scaling? Like, I don't want to scale my team.
Mm-hmm.
I became very clear. I don't want to scale my team.
Mm-hmm.
I also don't want to scale the number of clients that I serve. So, I think really getting in touch with who you really are, what your beliefs are, what your values are, what makes you tick. Because what makes you tick is different than what makes somebody else tick. There are other people who are like, I just want 1,000 employees. I just want 10,000 customers. And great, like,
Right.
cool, if that works for you. But for me, I love my alone time. I love space. I love, I'm also a maniac. Like, I sprint constantly. So there's like this interesting balance that I hold. But what I really was called for is to scale my impact.
Mm-hmm.
And to scale my impact does not mean that I have to scale my clients or scale my team. It means I have to scale my impact. Well, how can a person do that? Well, I can take 5 clients, and if they are wanting to scale their number of clients, even though it's not my wish, but it's theirs, if I'm really helping them to build a business that's in congruence, they are aligned, they're attracting and qualified clients and really growing their client base. And I can then impact that leader to impact their collective, their community. So that is a way of scaling my impact without me having to do it directly. Another option would be, I could decide to go speak on big stages, right? So if I'm speaking in front of stadiums of 10,000 people, let's say, that would be another way to scale my impact without having to scale my client base. So this is what I love about strategy, is once you know who you are on the inside and what makes you tick, you can then look at all of your different options for a business model so that you're operating in congruence. But when somebody comes to me and says, well, Nancy, what should my goals be? And I'm thinking, well, I'm not here to tell you what your goals should be. What do you want your goals to be? That's why we have to do some preliminary work to make sure each client is operating in the life that they truly want for themselves. And it's different for everybody. So you don't have to buy into the scaling myth. It's just silly.
Right. And like you said, be discerning about, what do I want to scale? It doesn't have to be what from the outside looks most scalable.
And you can have the revenue you want no matter what you're scaling or what your model. So the revenue, that's a strategic planning conversation, right? But getting clear on what you want to scale or why that's important to you is where you begin.
So I want to really sort of hone in on this infinite impact concept. And first, let's talk about the foundational 4 that you so beautifully bring to life inside your book.
Yeah, I'd love to. Well, I knew I wanted to finally pursue my 20-year wish of creating a book. And a lot of people have harassed me, Amber, you've made 1,000 authors, #1 bestsellers, and you don't have your own book. Like, what's up with that? That's weird. I agree. I know. You'll read about it in the book. There was a journey. There's a reason why. But I was really committed last calendar year to getting the book out, because there was a calling inside to cement my work over the last 17 years, which has largely been launch a book and or build a brand online, right? I don't exclusively work with authors. I just happen to work with a ton of them and I love them. So I thought, Nancy, that the book was going to be about that. Here's how to launch your book, here's how to build your brand online, but more of like the thinking behind it as opposed to a checklist. That's not what book emerged, though. The book that emerged was deeply confronting and very aggravating, and I didn't want to do it. But I am old enough now to listen to my intuition when it's screaming at me. So I sat down at my computer and out popped the Foundational Four framework. And it popped out because of asking this question. Over the last 17 years and the many thousands of calls that I've had with entrepreneurs, what do they all have in common when they first come to me? What do they all have in common? And I realized that they all were out of alignment when they first came to see me. So then the work became, as I engaged with clients, I didn't have a 1, 2, 3, 4 process, but I was embedded in the process of launching their book. I would ask them, like, who are you trying to impact? Who's your avatar? How do you want to impact that person? That's your vision. What does the experience of giving this impact offer back to you as the giver? This becomes your why. And then what are your core values that can become the language of your brand and how you make decisions moving forward? So I would talk about these things, but not necessarily in that structured way until Infinite Impact was trying to emerge out of me. And I created this framework that is so unbelievably powerful that it frankly surprises me, Nancy. I probably shouldn't say that as the author, but like, I feel that this is a gift. This has come down through me. Something clicked into place finally. And there have been about 200 people that have already gone through the book before it even released. And seeing their transformation and their clarity is so stunning to me. It has been the most fulfilling part of my whole career. So for example, there's a gentleman who was like, I don't know, I just want to speak about connection. And he thought that's what his brand was going to be about. Well, when I took him through the Foundational Four, we came up with his avatar, we came up with his vision and his why. And what we realized is his whole brand needs to be centered around one word, and that's joy. And the more that he feels his audience, the more he brings joy to his audience, whether it's an audience of 1 or 10,000, the more he brings and gives joy, it actually fulfills an unmet need inside of him. He's craving to feel joy. So if he's giving joy, he'll feel joy. And now there's this mutual reciprocity that's happening, and he has congruence now. And when you have that kind of clarity in your business, when you go to like pick brand colors and what should I say on my website? What should I say on social media? You're not thinking, oh, this process is draining and I don't know, you figure it out. The process changed. Now you're inspired because you have clarity. And you're thinking, I want joyful colors. In my website copy, I'm going to make them feel joy in what I'm saying and be conversational, and I'm going to connect with them that way. And in social media, I don't have to feel like an icky influencer. I can just spread joy everywhere because that's what makes me feel joy. And imagine like the deep fulfillment that entrepreneurs can have once they have this level of clarity and can bring that out to their networks. So that's really what the Foundational Four framework is all about.
You know, and just to sort of amplify what I was saying earlier, haven't we all done the avatar exercise 1 million times? But I will say that when you invited me to do the exercise, and I was like, are you kidding me? I need to do this avatar thing again. It literally created a human being who finally came off the page.
Yes.
And it also solved for me something I had been grappling with in my business for years. And that was to finally be able to see my avatar as one human at 3 different stages and phases of her evolution. And that has made all the difference in the way I have been approaching my business, my offerings, and my impact since meeting you.
I see it. It's so exciting. It's so exciting. And listen, vision, why, values, avatar, who cares? You've heard it, been through it, whatever. What else you got? We're always like looking for the next thing. And I'm here to say, whoa, Slade, slow down. We just haven't gotten deep enough in those exercises, right? So like with avatar, to catch the listener up, it's not just like, oh, I work with people that are between 35 and 55, and some are divorced and some are married and some are here, some are employed, some are stay-at-home moms, some have this, some have that. Because when you write your book or you're doing marketing content for that demographic, you have to try to be all things to all people. And we know that doesn't work. Specificity is what creates emotional connection and trust. And we need now more than ever before because of the spread of misinformation and disillusionment to your. And so when we have one person in mind, Heather, she's 45. She's a stay-at-home mom. She lost herself. Here's how she found herself. Her husband isn't really supportive. She's getting resentful. Here's what she's thinking about when she's folding laundry, wishing she could be present to her little girl, talking to her. She's really distracted, thinking that she's a failure and losing track of the day. So when I think about my Heather in this moment of recording this podcast interview, all of the people listening who identify with some of that language and those values and experiences will all of a sudden feel like, oh, I feel like she's talking directly to me right now. This is crazy. How did she know that about me? That's the value of the avatar exercise. And people are talking about that in the book. Amber, I can't get enough. I feel like you wrote it just for me. That's the value of the avatar. We just had to go a little bit deeper in the exercise to get the specificity so it lands.
Yes, agreed. Something I want to talk about is in Levin Life Coach Academy, as I'm training and certifying coaches, over and over, I see people who are ecstatic to become certified coaches and not necessarily fully aware of the degree to which they need to also own business owner and entrepreneur. And I see this with authors as well. So as an author, it is our job to put on the marketing hat, to put on the promotion hat, to get our books into people's hands. And yet so many authors think, oh, the job is done once I've written the book. Or the coach thinks the job is, the job is coaching, but the job isn't, oh, I've got to also now sell my wares. And I'd love to just hear you speak a bit to that, because it really is the intersection of books and business.
Yeah. I don't know where it comes from exactly. Like it might be out of resistance of being heard and seen. A lot of people, in my observation, especially the people that I work with, they are afraid of visibility. Because growing up, oh my gosh, when I was heard or seen, I was bullied in school. Or when I was heard and seen, my mom punished me or my sister beat me up or whatever happened, right? Like that was our experience. And so now when it comes time to like exposing our true selves and getting our content out of the world, it's like, I don't want to do that part, but I could just do it one-on-one over here in my corner. And that feels safe to me. But to have to go and market myself online, forget about it. Somebody else can do it for me. That's why you hire the marketing. And I don't think this was your story, by the way, Nancy, but it's like a lot of other people's is like they hire a marketing agency because it's like, I don't like the word influencer. I don't like social media. I don't want to be like that. But they know they have to get their message out somehow, but they don't like their options. And I'm here to say like what the author and the coach really wants more than anything is they want to give. They want to help others, right? So instead of looking at social media as this evil, toxic platform, What if we look at it? What if we redefine our relationship with it and think, maybe I don't like what I'm seeing other people do, so I need to be the model. I need to be a leader and do it my own way. I need to do it in a way that feels congruent for me because I don't like what I'm seeing out there. And if enough of the right people did that, Nancy, it would completely shift every way that we interact with social media. That the best people in the world are hiding back and they're letting the toxic people win, unfortunately. But I'm trying to change this. But what happens is, coming back to the value of the avatar exercise, if we know that the avatars say, my Heather, and I go out onto social media in my own way, I put the blinders up to what everybody else is doing. And I just focus on having a one-on-one conversation with Heather on my social media. I give her some education, give her some inspiration, give her an article I thought was interesting, take a walk with her, then do a little video of what I'm thinking about, what I'm concerned about, what I don't have answers to. And I'm just in dialogue with Heather all the time. That becomes my marketing. When I teach this to my clients, Nancy, they're like, oh, I could do that. I mean, that's easy. I could do that all day long. Right. I just have to get them to see another possibility. We have to change the narrative and the perception of it, narrow our focus down to the one person we're in service to. How do we want to impact that person? How can we do that on a consistent basis? So then you are operating a business and you're almost like tricking yourself into it a little bit. But yeah, be proud of the fact that you're a business owner. Don't be afraid of it. Like, we're going to create new evidence that when you are heard and seen, good things happen, impact happens, fulfillment happens.
Amen. Yeah, I love that. You know, we can look at it sort of like a hack, or like we can trick it, because I agree. Right. And I agree. It does come down to an element of visibility. And we do want to reinforce good things now come when we are seen and heard. And I love what you just said about that. And I see it over and over inside of LLCA as well. And I know you see it constantly inside of books and business. Yes.
Yeah, I do.
Tell me a bit about, I'm always curious, a bit about what you do for yourself to stay connected. What are the things that are your non-negotiables so that you stay connected to yourself?
Good question. Honestly, the one that I get to do every day might just be music. Mm-hmm. I listen to a very wide range of music, and it helps me to connect with parts of myself. And I just follow the calling to like listen to piano or listen to something that's like pop indie, or then channel back down into something else. You know, sometimes, like a couple nights ago, I just felt like my heart, I needed a good cry. I didn't really have anything to like consciously cry about at the moment, but I was called into a certain type of music and just went with it and just connected with myself in a really deep way and had a nice little cry. And it wasn't like a boohoo victim cry. It was like, there she is. Yeah. Like, and maybe I was grieving a little bit of something and wishing for a little bit of something. But in that moment, I was like connecting with myself. And it was just like a really beautiful, sacred moment. It didn't even last that long, but like that was connection. Because I'm a single mom and CEO, and my life is very scheduled and very full. And that is by choice. I am actually my happiest when I am productive. So I find these little pockets to connect as opposed to these long stints. But I also have a cabin in the forest in the Rocky Mountains. And luckily, it's not too far from where I am in the city. So I can take my son to school. I have a 7-year-old son, Clay. But I'll go up into the cabin, and that's like full immersion, supercharged, just being in nature. It's like plugging into literally the source. And I don't even understand it, but that's what it feels like. And I also like really value my alone time. As I mentioned, I'll get these little pockets, like first thing in the morning is very sacred for me. And I don't have any one routine. I allow myself to just go with whatever I'm needing that morning. And so it's always something a little bit different, but it's really joyful time to just be with myself before I then spend literally the next 12 hours grinding, giving until I get that pocket again. And that's what's worked really well for me. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. So for everyone listening, I really encourage you to grab a copy of Infinite Impact. And here's the thing. I think about this book, it's like a playbook. It's the kind of book that you can dive into and write in and scribble in and fold down pages. And if you are an entrepreneur with a team, it's for all of you. It's for your team too. If you are a solopreneur, it's for you. And it's, even though primarily, I mean, the subtitle is The Entrepreneur's Strategic Guide to Books and Business Success. It's for you as an entrepreneur, regardless of if you have a book yet.
Correct. Big time.
Right? So a book may at some point be on the radar. It doesn't have to be quite yet for you to benefit from this book.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I've even seen, Nancy, just individuals.
Yeah.
They don't have a business yet. They are working at a corporation. They're an employee. They don't have a book in them that they can think of. And they've really never been exposed to anything like this. But there's a simple calling in their heart, like, maybe there's more for me. I think that there's more for me somewhere. I think I'm supposed to get something out into the world, but I don't understand what it is. This book will give tremendous clarity, even at that stage. And for somebody who's much more advanced, what I've observed is it holds them accountable and shines a big flashlight on what they're missing, which is actually quite a lot. They don't realize just how out of alignment they've been. And the book is designed in such a way that it's full color. Mm-hmm. It's got nature images, as you mentioned, space to do writing, but it's pretty, and there's highlighting and underlining. Yeah. So there's something for you on every single page of the book. And you really just find yourself here. And I do too. So I'm almost talking about it like it's not mine right now, but you keep getting drawn back in because it helps you learn more about yourself and what you're here to do in your life. It's awesome. I'm grateful for it. Yeah,
I have to say, it is not like any other quote unquote business book. And it's really inviting. It's really inviting. That's what I love the most about it.
Thank you, Nancy.
Amber, I love you so much. I'm so excited that we have had this time together and that I get to share you with all my listeners. Where do you want to send people to connect with you?
Well, if you can, go to ambervilhauer.com. Nobody knows how to spell, or remember my last name.
We'll put it in the show notes.
amberv.com also gets you there. And if you Google me, I've got multiple websites and a lot of different ways that you can interact with me. I'm very open to you DMing me or just reaching out and saying, hey, I listened to the episode with Nancy. This is the part that called to me or what helped me. And that's really powerful feedback for Nancy and myself to know who you are and what you're up to and how we can better serve you. So please use your voice with us as much as you can, because that's really why we're doing this, is for you. And it's just been such an honor to spend this time here. Love this community.
Thank you, Amber. I have a hunch you'll be back again soon. Thanks, everyone listening. And I'll see you next week.